What's up, everyone? I look like a bloated bag of ass. This is a lot later than I wanted to do it, as far as in the week. Had a lot of stuff going on this past week, so yeah, we're gonna try and wrap up this install today and see if I really do get double my investment for half the cost of the printer. And I think I got everything working right with my cameras. Hopefully, I don't run into the issues I did last time. So we will see here. And then sorry about being slightly lethargic. Trying to drink me up some caffeine drinks. See if that perks me up a little bit. But yeah. Um, for those of you who are watching this who don't quite understand the point of this one, I got the Bondtech LGX Lite Pro upgrade kit for my K1 Max. And the initial kit that was sent to me was, to put it bluntly, a literal bag of shit. The parts were of poor quality. Um, the heat sets were pulling out. The bearing retention didn't work. I mean, it was just there's my other videos you can watch on it. I don't want to recap the whole thing, but it was a mess. And after some back and forth with Bondtech, they sent me replacement parts. After they printed up new ones to supposedly fix the problems. They did. The parts that showed up were in much better quality. Looks like they did a few hardware changes, just screws with bigger heads to help retain the bearings. And that was it. One thing I did do is, probably easier to show on this camera, but I cut the wires down so you didn't have that mess of wire. And this is what I cut off of it. For a $270 kit, they expected you to keep this on here, and on their official install video, you're supposed to just zip tie it to the back, and that to me just made no sense. So I cut the wires down and then plugged it into the adapter, plugged the adapter into the tool head board, put this all together. I really wish I had this style fitting so I could just put it on the wires and eliminate this adapter. I mean, it's a point of failure. It's an extra point of unnecessary failure. So, but I don't have those, so that's how it's going to be. And then on the other screen, I do have the video up. You guys can't see it, but I have their video to kind of follow along for the install. So, yay, I'm excited. So, to the point now. Oh, I forgot this printer got put in here. Oh, got in my way. Oh boy. This way. So here's the new Y carriage pieces, much better shape. Say to slide these in, drop them down. That's how that goes. Let's see what they say to do next. I don't like that. That's just kind of goofy. These are the new rods that you get with the kit. They're, I believe, smaller than the originals. I don't know what the hell I did with the originals. No, here they are. Yeah, so here's the originals. Here's the new ones that come with the kit. They're smaller, but they match. As far as size goes, they match the ones on the side. do. Guessing the tool head goes on next. Yeah, tool head goes on next. The tool head I already obviously I put that together. That was the last stream once I got the parts and was showing the parts off. Did I? I did. I made a whoopsie. There we go. Helps if you put the parts on the right way. Seems to be all right. There's no spots that are hanging up. So goody goody. All this extra hardware. What did I do with those? Ah. Right. You reuse the stock end parts. Got the right side here. Now, if you also can't tell, you have to do a metric shitload of disassembly to get this kit going. I mean, you can see you got to tear the whole top off. You got to take the glass panels off the side. You got to take the door off. This all has double-sided tape that you got to peel back. You got the I'll call it weather stripping, but the little foam pad that the door closes up against that you got to tear up. And they don't supply any like replacement tape or replacement padding to replace what you have to kind of damage to get this thing taken apart. So it's kind of another downside to that. Everything seems to be all right. Yep. Yeah, the rods. Like that. You had the 4 screws. Now, me being the dummy that I am, I just kind of tore this thing apart and didn't really pay attention to the hardware I was taking out. But the install video that they give you doesn't give you the best angles, but it at least gives you an idea. These front ones are pretty easy. They're gonna be your recessed. I don't know if you can see those at all with the recessed screws. Oh, now it's just getting all this crap to line up. There we go. Nice and pretty. This right here, just not a huge. I feel like I'm gonna snap this. Really trying to avoid taking that whole strip off because I don't trust that it'll stick back on. Some more of these recess screws on the side here. There's another one. Right. It's all nice and stable. Everything moves nice and freely. Now, big thing you'll notice on the kit is these are the original Y-axis carriages. Instead of using these pulleys, they use bearing stacks. Yeah, I mean, sure. We'll see. We'll see. I'm upset with myself. I kind of feel stupid for buying this, to be perfectly honest with you. But you live and you learn, I suppose. First things first. See, that's another thing that, again, I just don't quite understand. If you're going to replace these because the bearing stacks are supposedly better, why would you not also include these front pieces because they use these old pulleys? Replace the pieces in the back because, again, they use the pulleys. I just don't get it. Being a little curmudgeon here, but also says to put the belt in after the fact. Bastard. That was not. Should have had you run the belt through it before you tighten it down, not after. There we go. This is going to be the funnest part. I think this whole thing is getting the belts back on their proper belt paths and making sure everything's lined up properly and the proper tension, which I don't have a tension tool, so yay. That one. That one run through. Let's get the top one here run through. Little Core XY. All the nice fun belts. Belt feels cracked. I wish I had some things to rant about today, but I really don't, other than personal stuff that I'm definitely not going to rant about on a live stream. Had a fun vacation with the kiddos. Took our camper out. Magnet. Yeah. Yeah, I probably should have done that, Mark, but I don't think at this point it really would have mattered because this printer got moved around a few times. I never originally planned on doing any videos like this. The kind of mess that this kit was in kind of inspired me to do this, and so I just yeah, I just decided to do this, start creating videos on this kit. And so the printer got moved over here where I could put my cameras, so I had to put all the hardware in this magnetic bowl, and it would have just got messed up and lost. So it is what it is. I'll figure it out. It's like working on a car. You know you did it right when you have extra bolts. Well, this has always been kind of my weakness, is the whole belt tensioning thing. It kicked my ass when I built my Voron 2.4, which is going to get some upgrades that I actually got thanks to Tor. He didn't really talk me into it, but I saw that he got one, and so I'm going to put the new Nighthawk toolboard in it, get rid of the original Heart Key one that came with the kit. I don't know if I'm going to go umbilical. It looks like the cord that's provided is long enough to either do umbilical or keep the drag chain. I know kind of the point of umbilical is to get the drag chain off and get some of that weight off the gantry, and I have a 350 by 350, so any weight I can get off that gantry, the better. So yeah, I haven't decided what route I'm going to go, and then I also got the new Bondtech, because I'm a glutton for punishment. Supposedly there's an upgraded gear for the Clockwork 2 extruder, so I'm going to swap the old gear out with the new one. Kind of has some extruder issues, but I don't know if that was the roll of filament I had. I'm pretty sure it was the roll of filament I had. That printer uses my 5 kilogram ABS rolls that I usually get from either Ziltech or now I'm getting them through Polymaker because Ziltech hasn't had them in stock in forever, and I print auto parts that need the ABS. So while the rolls are twice as much, it's also Polymaker. But I got a roll from them that was wound like ridiculously tight. It was constantly jamming the extruder, or I'm sorry, the filament was jamming on itself, and then the extruder couldn't pull it, and then of course I'd have a failed print. So, but Polymaker is freaking awesome, and I let them know what was up, and they immediately sent me a new roll. So, I definitely dig Polymaker. One, their filament is just freaking awesome, and two, they have great customer service. So, shout out to the guys at Polymaker. Yeah, Mark, it's don't get me wrong, I'm pretty bummed myself. I like I've said before, I had reservations from the beginning on buying this kit specifically because of the cost. But it was Bondtech, and they've put out good stuff. And so I didn't. I hesitated and ended up saying screw it. Did the pre-sale, ordered it, and honestly forgot that I ordered it because I think I ordered it back in April, um, and got it. Oh God, whenever I got it, I don't know, May, June, whenever the hell I got it, I don't know. I have a hard time keeping track of time anymore. But I got it eventually. Son of a bitch. I got it. Got a notification in my email that I had a FedEx package coming. Good Lord, and had to figure out what the hell it was. And then I noticed it was coming from Sweden, and I was like, okay, well that narrows it down. So yeah, that's that. Sorry if that follow cam is making people nauseous. All right, let's see. Let's get this up. Yeah, Mark, it's even if I do see an improvement in print quality, I'll tell you right now, the biggest improvement I saw in this, as much as I hate to give Creality lots of credit because they still do scummy stuff, um, this printer out of the box is great. It prints great. You could leave it alone and print with it reliably. I would not use their slicer. Their slicer is pretty crap. Um, the LiDAR, whatever they call on it, it is absolutely useless. Anytime I've used it, it actually caused print failures, so I just never bothered to use it. Um, the side cooling fan that sounds like a jet engine when it spools up. I actually just unplugged it. I don't understand the purpose of it. But again, I also print mostly ABS with this, so I don't need that. Maybe it serves a purpose for PLA. I don't know. I don't really honestly print a whole lot of PLA. I do mostly PETG and ABS, so I can't tell you. But other than the funky quirks, this is a great printer out of the box. I definitely recommend rooting it and putting real clipper on there and not Creality's bastardized version of it. Well, mostly they're web GUI. You can't really change clipper, but you can change. You can go to Moonraker or Fluid. I prefer sorry, Moonraker, Mainsail or Fluid. I prefer Mainsail myself. I used Fluid when I first got into Clipper. Then that project got abandoned for a little bit by the original creator, and then someone eventually took it over. But at that point, I'd already migrated over to Mainsail. I'm used to the workflow, and I just don't feel like switching back. I don't really see a need to. Um, but yeah, even the camera on it, the camera, sadly, from everything that I've seen from people with bamboos, this crappy little, and it's like a $19 webcam because I bought them to put on my, I got two K1s that are part of our print farm, and the picture quality is good. It's not all grainy and crummy like the bamboo ones are. Um, so yeah, rambling on. This is a good printer. The only thing that like I said, that I saw a vast improvement in print quality was um, on my Max. I put the K1 Swiss on there, but my K1 Max got the Micro Swiss. My two K1s in the back, the normal K1s, those have the Triangle Labs um, that I got from TH3D, and both of those I saw immediate improvements in print quality. Um, went from lots of print failures and just weird quirks to, um, I mean, the only time I have print failures now is just settings aren't right or whatever. But yeah, I really don't see this being a huge upgrade, a huge plus. It just in the end doesn't change much. The stock extruder is fine. When I got my Max, they had already figured out the problems and were putting the updated, I think it was gears, in these. So never had a problem with the extruder. One of my standard K1s did have a bad extruder. And again, Creality was on the ball. I contacted them on their website through the web chat, told them what was going on. They asked for my address, my email, and a week later, it was in my hands. So again, I hate to give Creality credit, but they did great. Um, so yeah, I have a hard time seeing what this is going to improve. I just don't feel like it's going to improve much. But I like to tinker. So I saw something to put on this thing and I said, yes, let's do it. Let's spend some money. And now I'm kicking myself for doing it. All right, let's see what this says to do next. Yep, run all your belts. Got it. That looks like a massive pain in the ass, but okay. For an instructional video, your angles are pretty shite there. Apparently these are side specific, but they don't quite explain how or why. Bolt should loop in from the back before going into the belt slot. Okay. Yeah, they don't. That's cool that they're side specific, but maybe you could show me which one is which because there's a part number on these. One is 00112 and the other one's 00113. They don't say left or right, but in the video it says pay attention to which one is left and which one is right. Well, how the hell am I supposed to know which one is left and which one is right? Because there is no printed documentation for this kit, so that's That's quite awesome there, fellers. So it looks like that's okay. So we're gonna do something here because this is quite asinine, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't know why they would do this. Mother fudger. Where'd you go? Oh, God. Too old for this, Briggs. I'm going to take the tool head board off because there's no good way to get to the mount screws. Hands are covered in smut. Come on. Come on. Come on. There we go. All right. Gives us a much better view. Then we can figure out which one goes where. All right. So it looks like 00113, if you have this kit, that's going to be your left side. And 112 is going to be the right side. Curious as to trying to reuse the original kind of dimples on the belt. Go. See what they say about what bolt goes in this. Let's go back before going into the belt slot. What belt do I, or screw do I need? And 3x6 low profile. These hinges and all that fun stuff out. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, that's right. I do have that. I forgot I had that. Maybe that'll be better for what I'm doing. So you can look at my ugly mug. Yeah, this is low profile. Pull up the old calipers here. Close enough. This move the screen over here so I can see. I just have the K1 not Wi-Fi enabled. Enjoy using Orca Slicer. Is there a reason, Mark, why you don't have the Wi-Fi hooked up? Not that it really matters, but I mean, so it's your printer, personal preference. I'm just curious why you don't utilize the web GUI. What they mean by low profile. It is freaking hot in here. Why is my air conditioner not running? Oh, Home Assistant. Crank that mini split up. Give me some air. I don't know what it's like for y'all everywhere else, but here in the Michigan, in central Michigan, it is roasty out. Yes, I'm a wiener when it comes to heat. I hate the heat. I hate everything about the heat. Not a huge fan of the summer. Summer can suck it. No idea if that's what they're considering a low profile screw, but if it fits, it ships. So it's shipping. Get in there. Oh, I put it in the right spot. Now this isn't a design flaw in Bondtech's part because they're just kind of basically reusing the same hold down mechanism, so to speak, that stock tool had used, but doesn't mean I like it. There's probably no better way to do this. So this is going to be a pain in my ass. Belts are the old screw handy. Yeah, I can't imagine doing this with a tool head board on. This is miserable enough as it is without the tool head board in the way. I could not imagine having to do this with the fucking tool head board in there. All right. Now, if you're like me and you've taken this tool head board apart umpteen times, you already know which screws are which, but you'll have your long M3s there. The two stainless looking ones go up top, and the black one goes on the bottom. My fun is getting this stuff lined up. You got the dual headboard chunks, which are pretty much attached together, but then you got to get it the bolt through that and then line it. There we go. Line it up with the fan that's directly behind it, which is another interesting design by Creality, but got to give them credit. The board stays cool enough to where it doesn't throw errors. I mean, this thing is printed 10-hour plus ABS prints. So, nice roasty, toasty chamber temps. And no errors, no overheating issues, no timeouts, no skip steps. So, can't complain, unlike the big Tree Tech boards, which I've tried to use that have just failed. The EBB 36. That thing was a handsome sack of turds. I've never been able to get CAN bus to work right. Never. It has always been a massive, massive headache for me. That's right, I gotta put this in. And yes, I got frustrated and I just pulled the whole thing out because they use so much hot snot in there that you can't really get the plug to come out. So I just said screw it and off came the whole shebang. Right. I will say it looks good. I do like that extruder. It's quite sexy looking. We'll see if there's any improvement. What I'm actually excited about is the included profiles for Orca Slicer for this. They include their own profiles. Now, I have not had a chance to download and put them into Orca and mess with them because I just didn't, at the time, see a point because the printer wasn't even ready for it. I'd be curious to see what profiles they include as far as standard filament profiles. This is what I mean there. Because I will tell you what, in the 3D printing community, oh boy, people are not a fan of sharing. That is something I learned very early on. Is they are not a fan of sharing printer profiles. That's one I've never quite understood the secrecy on that. But you get the blowhards, or as a certain friend of mine likes to call them, neckbeards. They expect everyone who gets into 3D printing to have been born a 3D printing genius, and if you're not, you're just a douche, or I don't know, whatever they see you in their eyes. All right. I don't remember how to put the rest of this thing together. This is going to be fun. Oh, hell in a handbag. I'm going to guess I don't need that shroud anymore. That is for, this right here is for the LiDAR. I'm not putting that back on because it's worthless. Oh, hey, Wizzy. I just had to hold fitting my kit as the belt parts you're fitting are wrong. You should have got new ones in the kit. I didn't get them either. They're now sending them out to me. Not short. They should have came in the kit. I didn't. I tried using the original parts, but you pull the belt the way they move. Wizzy, are you talking about these pieces that hold the belt onto the tool head? Sorry, I should probably turn this monitor so I can actually see and read as I'm doing this. If you're talking about the original belt retainers, my kit included new belt retainers, so I hope that's what you're talking about. Belt's got some very odd. Yeah, see, that's just I'm curious if the belt wear, because I have belt wear down here So if you're standing in front of it on the right side, the lower belt has some significant wear. On the left side, it's the upper belt, which it's riding on the pulleys. So on the right side, lower is the lower pulley on the stock piece, and then on the left side, it's the pulley inside here. But no, that doesn't make any sense because it's nope. Never mind. I'm stupid. Because it's riding on the. Just don't get what would cause that. Well, maybe it's the. Well, it's because the belts go on the pulleys there. So we'll see. Hopefully the MFR doesn't snap on me. That screw goes to. So tool head is good. Don't think I'm ready to put this on. Because I gotta get this. I gotta get the top shroud on. I believe that's next. It's just a. Did I make a whoopsie? Why is that like that? Mother scratcher. And once again, the LED strip is held on by hot glue. And then the wires, these tiny thin little wires, are glued to the strip with a bunch of hot snot. Gotta unplug it somehow carefully. Because apparently I didn't route the wires correctly. Oh, please don't break. Success. Success. Yes, you're lucky I didn't get them. Sorry, I thought you were using the original. Nope, no, I was not using the originals. Those I did notice when I was going through the kit originally that those were in there. I just kind of assumed what they were and went on. That's kind of crazy. They forgot them in your kit though. But you know, someone had said I had read somewhere that they were moving into a new shop, and I mean I sympathize with that. That moving sucks. Sucks for anybody, regardless of the situation, whether it's moving your business, moving your family, or whatever. It's moving sucks. But you know, I would hope that the move was kind of I don't know, unplanned, because otherwise, why in God's green earth would you schedule your move around the launch of a new product? That seems bonkers, very bonkers to me. So maybe that's what's going on. Maybe they're just they're running into some headaches and some issues, doing their move to their new facility. I mean, it still doesn't make up for the fact that their parts were junk, but it'll at least explain why your belt parts are missing. Mark would say about not using Wi-Fi. I am not totally one of those guys that wears a tinfoil hat, but the more I keep China out of my stuff, the better. Um, yeah, totally agree. And so a buddy of a buddy got me down the rabbit hole of an open sense router and what's it, AdGuard, and my network is more complicated than I understand, but luckily my own personal tech Jesus, not the Jesus, personal Jesus as mentioned in the Matrix films. I want to say he was referring to ketamine. Anyway, he helped me set my network up, and immediately I should say within like 10 or 20 minutes, I went to AdGuard to look and see if anything was calling home. This calls home every 10 seconds. So what I ended up doing was I just blocked I block this from calling to the internet, so that way it can't call home. Because yes, I agree with you. I don't want China having anything to do. I try and keep as much cloud-based stuff out of my house as possible. Certain things it's just not possible. For instance, as much as I shit on Apple, I think Apple products are terrible. Google's not really any better as far as the way they deal with privacy and all their cloud nonsense and the bullshit they pull and them sucking the tea to the government. But I do like the Nest smoke alarms. I have those in my house. I have kids. I have pets, so I want to be alerted if something's going on. And I like the fact that when one goes off, they all go off. My phone goes off. My wife's phone goes off. It's kind of a janky integration, but there's an integration into Home Assistant. I have the smart speakers. Honestly, I don't use them. I thought I would. I bought them. I have like one in my kid's room, one here in the shop. I never use it. Um, yeah, but other than that, I do have the Max, the Nest Max, the big screen. I do like that. When we're sitting at our computer desk and we're playing games, sometimes we'll throw YouTube videos up on that, or we'll throw videos up on that so we can, because why not have more than one thing grabbing your attention? So we'll game and we'll watch movies or shows or YouTube. But yes, I totally get it. I see your reasoning, but there is a way to block that. You just have to go in your router, you know, set some firewall settings to prevent this from calling out. Essentially, I believe what it's doing is it's calling out to its cloud service. Um, I don't know. I don't know how to pick apart the packets. I don't know of anybody who has online to see if there's anything nefarious in there or if it's just simply calling out to the cloud. I don't really care what it's doing. It shouldn't be doing it unless I tell it to. But I'm sure it's buried in the terms of service that, if you agree to use this printer, that they can steal your firstborn and all your personal information and take out loans in your name and whatever other nonsense they have buried in that legal garbage. I have on the way. I was hoping maybe it would show up today, but it didn't. I do have from TH3D, my buddy Tim over at TH3D. He made replacement doors for the K1 Max. He just got his K1 Max doors in. The standard K1s he's had for a while. Um, why the hell Creality decided to have a glass door? And anybody who's on the internet and is a 3D printing person, I'm sure has seen the video of Uncle Jesse as he's putting his together, exploding the door. Um, that happened to my buddy Tim with, I believe, his bamboo. Um, and all he did was shut it, and it exploded. Safety glass, so you got that going for you. But I don't understand why the hell they would put glass on these. So on the K1 Max and the K1s, the side panels and the door is glass. On the Max, the lid is also glass. And I believe Tim might be having something in the works here shortly to replace the lid on the standard K1s. It's a plastic dome, so you're fine there. But yeah, glass it's stupid. I don't understand it. It makes no sense to me at all why they would do that. Let's get the filament sensor mounted. So anyone who doesn't have the K1, I mean, I'm not a shill or I don't know what's the 3D Musketeers guy. What does he like to call people? Sock puppets, or maybe that was someone else. I don't know. He said a lot of crazy shit. It's hard to keep track of. But I am in by no means a shill, a sock puppet, a cheerleader for any particular brand. If they make a good product, they make a good product, and I'll buy it and I'll use it. But it doesn't make me a forever fanboy. I like to I like to keep up on stuff. And when I do cross that barrier into fanboyism, the non-questioning fanboyism. Well, look what happened. I got bit in the ass and was sent a subpar product. So let's see if we can get something out of this. Again, I do not in any way, shape, or form see this doubling. And yes, I'm going to mock that to death. I do not see it doubling the value of my printer. That is the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard. And again, they use the word precious at some point in their description. I really hope they remove that, because I don't know if that was a translation whoopsie or what it was, but it made no goddamn sense. None at all. This isn't a golden ring from a fantasy novel. It's a fucking 3D printer. This is interesting. Are you being a flaming butthole? The screws that hold the top on, if you pulled a me and you didn't pay attention when you were pulling the thing apart, they're the countersink screws, but they're more of the like self-tapping style. They're not the machined style screws. Whew. All right, getting somewhere. Oh God, where's the glass? Where is the glass? There's the door. Oh, wait a minute. You know what? I'm a dink. Never mind. The side panels are not glass. I'm running my mouth. The side panels are. They're poly or plexi or whatever the hell it is. I forgot about that. It's just the door and the lid on the K1 Max. Don't listen to me. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Alright, bound to be one of you. Not you. That's how long this damn thing's been apart. I can't even remember what the parts look like. Those had a purpose, but I don't remember what their purpose is. Man, I have a lot of extra screws. That's making me nervous. There now Bondtech. Now you have an out. You'd be like, oh well, this dummy, this redneck here from the States didn't even put it together right. Look at all those extra bolts he has. That's why the thing prints like hell. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Almost. Well, again, none of this was planned until I opened up the kit and saw the quality of the parts, but kind of looking back, I should have done this from the start. Should have done a test print as the printer is, then did a tear down to show how long it took to tear this thing apart. Because it takes time. It takes a lot of time. There's a lot of prep work in this kit. So, and that's the other thing too is whether you do this for fun. I'm right here, camera. There you go. The goods are here. Whether you do this for fun, Did you get all the screws from the back? Yeah, I did notice that, wife. That I forgot we did take screws out of the back. But going back, whether you whether you do 3D printing for a business, for a side hustle, um, or you just do it for fun, just because you're not making money, doesn't mean your time is worthless. In the end, your time does have value, and you have to put that into consideration with something like this, with anything like this, whether it's 3D printer or a car or a piece of machinery or whatever. Is the upgrade worth not only your money but your time that you're investing in even installing it? And so not only am I close to 300 deep and months worth of time invested in this project between getting the kit and dealing with the tearing the machine down, finding the time to tear the machine down, tearing the machine down, finding out the parts were shit because I had torn it apart once I knew the kit was coming, in anticipation. So my printer was already down a couple days, and I do use these for money. So this printer's been down for a considerable amount of time, and it's cost me a lot of money. And it's one of those things where, with as far as it was torn down, it would have taken me too much time to put it back together with the stock parts, then tear it back apart. It's like, it's just no, cut my losses. The printer's down. It is what it is. I'm going to have to deal with it. I've got other printers in the farm. I've got other printers that are down. I got to get my, where is it? Follow me here a little bit. So this puppy right here is my Ender 5 Plus that was converted to a Mercury 1. That's been down for quite a while. And the reason why that's down is because, once again, I like to screw with stuff and decided, hey, CAN bus. This sounds new and fun. Yeah, I don't recommend CAN bus to anyone. It is not fun. It is a massive pain in the ass. Um, CAN bus is all right if you have the time to screw around to get everything working right, and you don't print in an enclosure, because boards like I've tried the EBB36, I've tried the Mellow one that uses the RPI chip, and they all get very, very hot, even with fans on them. And they, after a few minutes baking in ABS temperatures, um, they quit working. They quit communicating, they quit working, and failed prints, and lots of wasted time and energy and money. So I do not recommend CAN bus, um, unless I would say if you are printing PLA, yeah, sure. If your printer's not in an enclosure, you're one who prints PLA and you're doing, speed and stuff like that, and because you are with CAN bus, you're getting some weight off of that, potentially, I guess, depending on the type of printer. You're getting some weight off of either the gantry or whatever, um, because you just have the CAN bus wire. You have the two communication wires, and then you have the two power wires, as opposed to like on the 2.4 or on the um, Ender 5. You've got all the wires for the stepper motor, the two wires for the thermistor, the two wires for the hot end, four wires between the fans, whatever else on your sensor. If you have, like, for instance, I have an ABL. Now the easy ABLs, I can't get rid of that wire, so that is separate. But oh, Jesus, um, but I mean, you get what I'm getting at. You're able to eliminate a lot. Feel like just have way too much. Man, this makes me nervous. Why do I have so many extra screws? Like, an alarming amount of extra screws. did tear the original tool headboard apart, or the tool head apart. That's right. So I'm going to have extra screws from that. Okay. That's just janky. I don't remember that being like that, but I did something. I fudged something up. This is not. I'm going to freeze the camera here for a second where I'm at. I got to figure out why I got no air. It is freaking hot in here. Oh. There we go. Usually that mini split gets me just about freezing out of this place. I'm way behind in the video. My mom called in. You never pass up a call with your. No, you don't. No, I'm pretty bad at that. I don't communicate with my family as much as I should. By the way, it's 91 degrees in Louisville at 6:45. Ugh, yeah, no thank you. Nope, I'm a bitch when it comes to heat. After about 60, 65, I turn into a miserable prick. I don't fancy the heat, none. And especially when you turn around and not only do you add heat, but then you add humidity, then I'm just even more of a miserable old son of a bitch. I tried living in Maryland. Gosh, I was right summer when I believe I was 18, and lived in a town called Laurel, which is pretty much smack dab between Baltimore and DC. So I'm not much of a city person. I grew up in the suburbs of Detroit. I grew up in Canton, and I hated it. Um, I just hated it. Yeah, I'm not one to be around lots of people. Definitely get a wee bit of anxiety being around tons of people. I went to a high school that now has 3 campuses. My freshman year, there was only 2 high schools on there. Then they were starting to build a third, and did not last long there. I enjoyed self-medicating, and it caught up with me pretty quickly. But yeah, don't do drugs, kids. Stay in school. All right. Now I'm starting to get down to the wire, and I have some screws. Still don't know what these are for. There's a machine screw. Here I was bitching about having too many screws, and now I feel like I'm short 2. No, 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 no. Well, biscuits. Because those all have to be. I think I know where they are. In fact, I know exactly where they are. Oh, right, 2. 2, yeah. God damn, this thing weighs a ton. screws I missed. There's number 2. Yep, I put a machined in there, not a self-tapper. Missed a self-tapper up there. Still have extra screws. But not gonna cry over spilled milk. Yeah, that's rough, man. 101, I can't imagine. We've had some hot days, and then this past week we had some nice cool days, definitely some cool nights. Man, that is nothing beats having to deal with 70, 80-degree weather, but then when the sun goes down, there's no clouds in the sky and it drops to like 55. Great sleeping weather. Love it. All right. These springs. I don't remember where those springs go. I have an alarming amount of extra hardware. Well, there is something in the instruction. Okay, nope, there weren't any screws that hold rods in. There's holes there. But there's nothing. Oh, baby Jesus. Okay, let's see here. Now, I remember that popping off. I don't remember where the hell that went. Wire management. And if anybody sees this and they say, "Oh, the vest, man, you stole that," I did. I did. Yes. This is Nero 3D's. Well, not his exact one. Why are you not back on tracking, you pile of poo poo? You cannot, but you can. Um, it was inspired by Nero. So yes, that is where it came from. I'm aware. I'm a thief. In fact, when I stream over with Tim at TH3D on his channel, my name on there is Timu Nero, because I'm a cheap Chinese knockoff, like a cheap Chinese knockoff. So I'm aware of it. I'm not trying to steal his likeness. I just actually kind of dig it. Even for other things that I do, especially when we use the plasma cutter CNC, it's nice to have this so I'm not getting sparks thrown at my clothing and burning holes into my clothing. Oh man, I'm almost afraid to fire this puppy up. I don't know why. Oh, door. That's kind of important. Put this possible explosion hazard back on the printer. Now, here's something interesting. Oof. I don't remember. Oh, that's the lid, you dumbass. That's why it doesn't look right. Good job, stupid. There's the door. Oh, there it is. There you are. Hello, door. How are you? feel like don't remember how the door goes together, to be perfectly honest with you. That's probably what these are for. Hey. All right. Around there, dippy stick. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Another example. Don't do drugs, kids. Stay in school. Foggy your mind with the devil's lettuce. Like the way that felt. I feel like I'm gonna explode this just trying to put it back together. This is just the sketchiest. I put I put way too much faith into that. Wow. That was not smart. I know those springs go somewhere. They went in the original tool head, but I can't remember where. So it's not important. It just looks like ass now. Alright. Well, yippee skippy. She's back together. Put this on for a wee moment. It's not Uncle Jesse the door. And this sucker turned a little bit. Get it all plugged in. Okay, nay. Don't need you. Other thing is, do I have the spool holder anywhere? Hey, there we go. This. Okay. There it is. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use included test spool of, I think it's their Hyper PLA is what the stuff is. It actually, for it being free PLA, well, just being free filament in general, this stuff actually isn't bad. It actually prints pretty nice. And when you print fast with it, the stuff comes out halfway decent. And for once, you get a damn spool and not a cheesy roll of crap stuffed into the box that's pretty much useless because when you try and use it, it's just going to get all knotted up. start this because we have to do a little tune in here. We're going to do things the proper way. Now they give you a baseline for your rotational distance for this extruder. But you always, in fact, I just realized what a jackass I am. Okay, here's how I'm going to do this. I'm going to tune your So this extruder has different settings for the tension on it. I believe there's 3 or 4 different clicks. So let's go. Switch to this camera for now. No freaking way. It looks like they have put out a step-by-step guide, a PDF step-by-step guide on how to do this. Now that was not up the last time I did a video on this, so this is recent. Good on them. Very cool. Wish I would have checked that before. But, you know, I'm a dipstick. Why not? So, there's even a maintenance guide in there. Neato. Okay. So there are 5 positions if you count the open position. You have the load, unload position. Position 1 for rigid materials. Position 2 for harder rigid materials when you need more grip or for semi-flexibles. Position 3, flexible material softer than 95A. And position 4, very flexible material softer than 85A. I'm an idiot here, and I'm not sure what I should put that on. Looks like position 1 is all it's going to give me anyway. Okay, so let me pull this printer up first. The downside of using the web view is you have to remember the damn IP addresses. Stupids. Close some of these windows. These are not necessary. Y'all don't need to know my business. Guess we're going the hard route. Services. PCB4. Leases. Printers. Max. All right. Let's see if I can get this to. Hey, there we go. All right. So in the guide here, or the quick start guide, they do give you, or they did. Thought I just had it up. Nope. Oh, sorry, I'm not at the quick start guide. There's a quick start guide. All right. They give you a rotational distance of 3.99. So you need to go to your machine. You need to be updated. Printer config. Extruder. Here we go. You're going to go in your extruder and you are going to change your micro or your rotational distance to 3.99 right here as shown in the guide. Run current 06 is run current in there. I don't see it, so we're going to add that. Yep, we're going to add that. Run underscore current 0.6 for accuracy. Whoa. All right. And the other thing that we want to make sure is that there's no hold current and no gear ratio, which I believe on these there is not. But let's double check anyway, make sure. Nope. Oh. That's so we are good there. Distance 3.99. We're going to save start. Nothing that's really important to update. There we go. There we go. All right, so this is the way that I do. I like to do the configuration for your rotational distance. In fact, let me bring up the calculator. So I don't know, a lot of guys, when I first got into Clipper, some people were saying do 50 millimeters. Some people said, no, you got to do 100 millimeters. I just do 100 millimeters. It's the way I do it. If you want to do 50, a lot of people do 50. That's fine. I'm not going to say there's a right or wrong answer to that because I don't know. I do 100 because it works for me. I get good results from it. And why not? So what does this need to be set to? Is there nozzle temp? So let's go set our get our nozzle heating up here. While we're waiting for that, so the best way to do this is to use, I like to use white filament because you can mark it easily. And normally I have a fine tooth Sharpie. There we go. It's fine enough. You get a Sharpie, preferably a fine tooth one. This is not normally what I like to use, but it'll work. So the first thing I like to do is once the nozzle is up to temp, I like to first feed the filament in, make sure that the filament is actually where it needs to be. Now we should be able to. Yeah, look at all that ABS coming out of there. Yum, 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 yum. There we go. Okay. Where are my calipers? Right here. So set your calipers up to make sure it's zeroed out. You're going to set it. And again, this is the way I do it. If does this have a mark? The mark is at the bottom. Yay. All right, I'm not going to use calipers. I forgot I had this damn thing. Rulers are nice. I've always used my calipers because I never had a ruler that was worth a damn. But anyway, I don't know if you can see this on the video very well, but essentially what you want to make sure is that whatever measuring device you use, it's why I use calipers. This one is my nice fancy dancy TH3D ruler, bought with my own money, thank you. You want your mark to actually start at the end of the ruler. You know, there are some rulers where 0 is in a little bit. Well, that doesn't do you any good. This one, 0 is actually right considered at the end of the ruler. So hopefully we all know how to do math. Sorry, camera's over there. We're going to do 100 millimeters, so 10 centimeters. We're going to make sure that oh yeah, I know you're dying. We want the ruler to be flat on the top of the extruder, and then we want to mark on our ruler where 100 millimeters is. And again, that's why it's best to use white filament, because you can see your mark. Then the next thing you're going to do, plop big old fat ass down. Let's go to desktop. This rotten biznitch might make me home everything first, so let's home just in case. Then we'll know too if this thing wants to fall apart because I forgot to put screws in. Home and home and home, man. Oh yeah? Oh, that's why. I forgot. It doesn't like to home when your nozzle is hotter than 140 degrees, so oops, my bad. Oh, yeah, my bit rate's down. Yeah, I used to have to work a lot in Texas when I drove truck over the road, and that's a miserable heat. Laredo is a miserable, miserable heat. July, August, it's unbearable. I mean, you're out there. I used to haul equipment and structural steel and stuff out of like Houston and Laredo, and some of that stuff had to be tarps, and throwing those big ass heavy tarps in that heat and that humidity. I mean, you were you were showering in your own sweat. You were just drenched. It was gross. But Laredo was also an interesting place because where that yard was located for the company I used to work for, they had a wild pack of dogs. There was 3 or 4 of them, led by a goat. The goat was the alpha male, or alpha. I don't know. I don't remember if it was male or female, but was the alpha of this pack of feral wild dogs. It was the most hilarious thing. Right. So, nozzle's just about to temp. So let me jump back to the desktop here, and we're going to go to extruder. We're going to cute. It wasn't actually extruding like it was supposed to. Now it is. Alright, so I'm going to have to remark this because it was being a janky biatch. Yeah. Having a technical issue. I don't know. I apparently didn't have the extruder clicked over hard enough. So it wasn't actually on. It wasn't gripping the filament. So let's remark it at 10 centimeters. Picking that mark up a little bit so I can see it. All right. Try this again. Extrude 50 millimeters. It is extruded 50 millimeters. We're going to extrude 50 millimeters again so we can get our total 100. All right. Now this is going to be a bit tough showing on the screen because it's overhead. So what we have now is you're going to remeasure your mark. And so right now let's call it. So I called for 100 millimeters, and it looks like I have 2 millimeters left. So I'm going to note, screw it, I'll just write on my counter. So first call was 98. Best to do it a couple times. Do it 2 or 3 times so you can get an average, just in case for some reason something was wonky the first try. It's always best to go on averages. You don't want to just do the first pull, base it off of that, because then you're just going to be, just in case something was wrong, you're going to be chasing an issue that doesn't actually exist. So I'm going to extrude 50 again, then do another 50, take a mark, and then we'll do this one more time. Run the average on the numbers that we get, and then we'll go to a fancy calculator to, so there's a calculator, but what is the other thing that I used to use? I used to just do math like a non-lazy ass. Distance. All right, so I'm going to measure this one more time. So it looks like we're pretty consistent. I'm going to do one more just in case, but I'm consistently getting 2 millimeters, which means it only pulled 98. Like I said, I want to do it 3 times just to be safe, and then go from there. These last 2 are consistent, but as my grandpa used to say, better to be safe than sorry. So okay, I'm gonna mark it one more time. Let's extrude. Now, whether you're updating your extruder on a Marlin rig or a Clipper rig, anytime you do any tool head changes, you really want to go through this process. Again, especially if you change the extruder. Okay, yeah, so it's consistently at 98. Okay, so what we're going to do now is, so this is part of Clipper's official documentation, and this is how you calculate the rotational distance. So we're going to get our handy-dandy calculator here. So the rotational distance equals previous rotational distance, which is 3.99, and then we're going to multiply that by the actual extruded distance, which is 98 millimeters, divided by the requested extruder distance. So our new rotational distance is this. Copy that over, go back over to machine. That's the downside to this, and I gotta figure out a way to stop it from doing this. Every time you run a print and it changes the bed, the height map or anything else, it backs up your old configuration when configuration changes are automatically made through Clipper. It's a nice feature, but man, if you don't keep up on it, this is what happens. You just get a shitload of backups. So anyway, now if you do manual changes, it does not automatically save it. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so we're going to go back to where it says rotational distance. Our original was 3.99. We are going to paste in our new value, save and restart. We're going to let Clipper, Moonraker, Mainsail do its thing. Clean all that nonsense off the bed. Back to the dashboard. Home again just for safety's sakes. Once we rehome, we are going to go through that process again, not in its entirety, unless we don't get 100 or as close to 100 as possible. Because now we want to verify that the new rotational distance is correct. So once that nozzle cools down, it'll home. And again, this is a very important step, because what's going to happen is if you don't set your rotational distance, I can't remember what it's called in Marlin. If you don't do this, what's going to happen is if you just take their numbers for face value, you're either going to you could possibly over extrude or under extrude. Well, in our case, we're under extruding right now. So that's a problem. You're going to have quality issues if you're under extruding. You're going to have failed prints because you're under extruding. So this is very important that you tune this regardless of the fact that they give you values ahead of time. But the values they're giving you are basically a base value. It's a good starting point, but you need to calibrate this to make sure. Everything is different. There's every machine, you could put the same parts in the same machine and not one of them is going to have the exact same value. It's just how it is. Okay, cool. We're homed. Get some distance in there. Let's put our nozzle back to 230. While we're doing that, we can remark it. That micro Swiss hot end, and again, same with the stock hot end. Even the stock hot end gets pretty warm pretty quick, but the micro Swiss moves a little bit quicker. The Triangle Lab ones move quickly. I don't know if Tim over at TH3D has any more of the Triangle Lab ones left. Ooh, it's wet. Let's see if he does. Oh, Triangle Lad. Maybe you should learn how to spell stupid. There you go. Okay, so it does look like he has 12 in stock, so I'll put these here in the chat for you guys. These are great hot ends. A vast improvement over not only they're a vast improvement over stock. What's really nice about these Triangle Labs is they use the MK8 style nozzles. They're not a specific, um, what's the word? A proprietary nozzle. The downside of the Micro Swiss is it is proprietary. It is their style nozzle. In fact, I don't know what the hell happened to it because I've got a point 0.6 and a point 0.4 for this. Um, we on this one we normally run point 0.6 for our ABS stuff, so I got to remember to put that in for the slicing. But anyway, um, so you're with that Triangle Labs when you're able to use the MK8 style nozzles, which are very common nozzles out there. They're super cheap, um, and you don't have to worry about buying a proprietary nozzle. The Creality stock hot end has a proprietary nozzle. Even the Micro Swiss has a proprietary nozzle. Um, I think I forgot at the time, or maybe he didn't have them in yet. Um, I wish I would have gone with the Triangle Labs versus the Micro Swiss, and not that the Micro Swiss one is a bad hot end. It's more expensive, and it is a nice hot end, but I wish I would have put the Triangle Labs in there one just simply for the fact of ease of buying nozzles because they're cheaper, they're fucking everywhere, so you don't have to worry about one spot. Now, um, TH3D does, I believe, yes, they do sell the Micro Swiss for, yeah, they do for the K1, the K1 Max, and the K1C. I wasn't aware that the K1C is different, but apparently it is. And they do have the nozzles for the Flowtech Micro Swiss. So we got that going for us. All right, let's go ahead and got our mark. Go ahead and we will extrude 50 millimeters, then give it a measure. Okay. And now we are check measures. Measuring stick. Yep, we are dead nuts. Look at that. I'm not even going to bother doing another one. Don't need to. Let's disconnect that. This fed in so we can do a. Ooh, oops. She's feeding beautifully. All right, so now this camera's follow feature is really cool, but sometimes it gets a little confused. All right, so next thing we need to do is yeah, it says to root it, which is definitely the way you want to go. Max, this is a point 0.4 nozzle. Make sure to configure before importing a profile. Save. When using the factory profiles, change the retraction parameters for larger nozzles. So they do have information for retraction for the point 0.6, so I should be able to make this work. There's a new version. 2.11 official. Yippee skippy. Gosh, I once again should have checked on that before I did this. So prepared. Well, thank you for everyone who's held on this long. All 4 of you. Appreciate it. Hopefully more of you see this. I mean, I really don't want to hate this kit. I really don't, especially with the money that I have invested in it. I really don't want to hate it. But man, it's gonna be hard. In fact, one thing that I should do that I forgot to do is what the hell is it called? Fine tune. There we go. Input shaper. Since we changed up and everything, we need to run input shaper. So we are going to I think this is all necessary, but we're going to do it anyway, just in case. Boo. Apparently you didn't like that. Alright, well, we're not doing that. If you have already edited, execute. So let's do this. Come on. There you go. That is not the one I was looking for. Where is the auto input shaper? Why? What am I doing wrong here? Where's the command to do auto input shaping? This is kind of... There we go. I knew something was up. Now, we're doing input shaping because we did a massive change to, I mean, the gantry, the tool head. So whatever the resonance compensation was set to does not apply to this printer anymore because we've done some pretty serious changes to it. So now we need to rerun this and get this. This part can take a hot minute. Have to do before and after with the parts. Those 4 parts in the Voron. Now we're just printing the K1 went down. Yeah, no problem, Wizzy. I mean, we're almost 2 hours into this, and this is real time. And the other video was about 2 hours, maybe a little less, um, trying to at least prep the parts and go over the differences of the original parts and the ones that they sent me, and and that also doesn't include teardown. So this is a project. This is a heavy duty time waster. to, to put it lightly, it's a bit of a time waster. I let's just say 6 hours. I mean, I probably, if I wasn't worried about doing all this and just was doing this on my own, I could probably get it done, let's say, in half the time. Um, but even so, 3 hours, that's a lot of work. Um, to tear the thing down, put it, prep the parts, get the bearing swapped over into um, the y-axis parts, and tearing apart the old tool head, putting the new tool head back together, getting the belts on, adjusting the belts, then having to tune the rotational distance for the extruder and changing your config file, and now doing the input shaper. This stuff takes time, and it's all stuff that needs to be done. You can't skip these steps. If you tear your printer apart, put all this stuff on, and then don't tune your sorry your what can I think your rotational distance and redo your input shaper, you've wasted your time and money. So it seems like this didn't do. There we go. The SOCs in these. If I'm really going to complain about these printers, the SOCs are pretty shit. The chip they use on them is slow. It's I like um the Manta boards, um because I like the fact that you can use either the CB4s, or yeah, I think they're called CB, whatever, the Raspberry Pi or CM4, sorry, the CM4, or the CM1s, and I think they're on to CM2s now. Um, the CM1 and 2 aren't the same processing power as the CM4, but they're still loads better than this sack of ass. They run much quicker. Let's see where we're at in this. Calculations. Okay, so now we're doing. I think it's doing the Y. Yeah, now it's testing the Y axis. And that's a lot of vibrating. guess I don't remember how bad it vibrated with the original parts, but this thing's pretty much been vibrating since it started. The x-axis, it tuned up and then immediately went away. This one has been consistently having that vibrating noise throughout the whole test. It's not done yet, but it's almost done. All right. Just gotta wait for the calculations now. It's just finished up the y-axis testing. This is where this part takes a while. You have to wait for it to do all the calculations. I don't know yet, Wizzy. We'll see. We'll definitely see here once I actually get it running. Right now we're just doing the resonance testing, the input shaper. So I don't think I really paid attention when we first set this up. You know, I just let it do its auto setup and walked away and did some other things. So I I honestly I don't remember. I don't remember hearing that noise. I mean, and I can hear it through my headphones, so it's loud. But I don't know. We'll see. Set to. Set to Z. Still processing. It'll give you the suggested. I don't even know what to honestly call them. Profiles, I guess, because I don't know what they're actually called. It gives you several different profiles, and then the frequency, um, recommended shaper type YZV 43. And what is my recommended shaper type X? I am not running that. So we're going to go Y equals ZV frequency 43.2. And where is recommended? We're not going to use that. We're going to stick with ZV. X axis. Frequency Alrighty. Let us now just install. Get Orca slicer installed. Try out that profile. Adjust the retraction for the bigger nozzle. Wish I knew where my 0.4 nozzle was. I could try that. But we should be okay. It's gonna be okay. Oh my god. This. Where in the biscuits did you download? I don't know what the hell just happened there. Big file. I don't know where the hell this downloaded at. Why is this being so stupid? Okay. There are 5 configs, only nonsense. That's what we're gonna do there. I've got to remember. I don't. I'm used to using Super Slicer, so this is. Don't need you. Don't need you either. Extruder. Traction. 35 millimeters a second, 0.9. Guess I need a benchy. I don't know where the benchy is. Nexus. Generic ABS. We're going to go with stick with their generic PLA. This is all Creality settings. All right. Well, that's interesting. Why is that going to take 30 minutes to print a benchy? That's kind of crazy. That I don't believe. No, something's weird. Something's very weird. Let's see something here. Might need to import. Nope, that's theirs. Why is that so slow? That is bonkers. Let's do this. As much as I really don't want to do it. I want to see Creality speeds. I want their speeds. I want their stuff. Where in God's green earth did I go? Here we go. Sorry, guys. I should have been a little bit more prepared on this. I thought this was going to be pretty cut and dry when it came to slicing, but that's my life. Nothing is ever easy. Yeah, put this Chinese crap on my printer. I really don't want to. Yeah, I'm gonna do a benchy on the printer. I was really hoping to um for whatever reason those speeds don't seem right. So I'm gonna open up Creality's crappy slicer, put a benchy in there using their speeds because I did print a benchy off of this before with their speeds. The only thing obviously that I'm going to change is I'm going to change um, the settings for retraction because um, obviously it's a different extruder. Good lord. Ugh. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I can't because they only have a profile for a point 0.4 nozzle. Isn't that neat? Let's see what the speeds are at least. This is annoying. Yeah, see, I can't use the file stored on the printer because I have a point 0.6 nozzle on there, and I honestly I don't. In the midst of all the wildness, I don't know. Oh no, actually, hmm, found it. So, do I want to change the nozzle? Maybe I should. I think I'm going to change the nozzle. I think that's what I'm going to do. I am going to change the nozzle because I want to be able to use the stock settings. Although this slicer does not look the same. This looks very different for some reason. Oh, okay. Well, Creality's slicer at 0.2 with a 0.2 layer height and 0.4 with their uh, profile for the max without changing anything says 27 minutes. So, huh. All right. Well, then I'm just gonna stick with Orca because I don't want to use this piece of crap anyway, and then I don't have to change the nozzle. They consider this the speed PLA. The Hyper was their speed PLA. Ooh, 21 minutes. Ooh. Let's do that. Just for fun. For funsies. Shush it. I don't think I have the. Do I have the I don't think I have this set up. That's the button. Here we go. Slice again. Export G-code file. No, I want send it to the printer, you jank bucket. There we go. All right. How exciting. Yeah, I thought it should be 13 too, but I went back and checked, and these are the system presets for the K1 Max. So these are the ones that are user presets would be the ones where I change the speeds and parameters and all that, and it's not any different. Well, it's mine are 3 minutes longer. Oh goodness gracious! It does seem slow. I don't quite understand it, but whatever. Me too, Wizzy. Me too. I mean, this is kind of a speed. This is a speed benchy, so it's not real world results. I mean, let's be honest. This is not real world results. Real world results varies on what you're doing, and your actual printer profiles. So I've never understood the whole speed benchy thing. To me it seems like I'm no tree hugger, no environmentalist, but it does seem like a waste of resources and time. Um, Not to mention, I don't care if your claim is that you printed a benchy in 3 minutes, it's got to look like a goddamn benchy and not a blob of plastic. Just because the printer said that it's done printing doesn't mean it printed anything. What it printed was a molten blob of plastic that barely resembles a boat. The whole point of the benchy is when you're printing it is to look at it and say, okay, I'm having some issues with the overhangs. I need to adjust my settings or my infill or whatever else. You're having Z banding. The point of the benchy is not to see how fast you can print it. And I know that sounds kind of stupid to say, but if you, I don't know. To me, it doesn't make sense to print something that looks like shit. Printing fast is nice, but printing something that's quality and worth putting your name on is more important. So I don't understand the speed benchy stuff. Is this doing what I'm thinking it's doing? It is. Huh. It is only doing a height map for the print area. That is cool. I don't know if that's an Orca thing or not, but that's pretty freaking neat. Unless I somehow missed something, but I'm pretty sure it is only checking points where it's printing. That's awesome. That saves a lot of time. Cool beans. Music. I don't know. It's not terrible. That first layer is not terrible, but all right. No, she's moving pretty quick. I don't know if it's coming across the screen very well, but she's cooking. hard to tell. It's really hard to tell. Definitely having. There's some cooling issues. The bow of the boat is curling up. Just plugged in that side fan. Honestly, forgot that it actually makes a difference with PLA. And it's definitely shaking my whole desk. You know, what's really going to be the big test, at least for us personally, is when we go to test print one of our auto parts. That'll be a big one. Um, we'll definitely be able to see how that does. Not that this thing printed them poorly to begin with, um, but there's always room for improvement. Don't know. Don't know. She is tooting along though. Dollar store Nero. No, I used Tim's goo. I'll put it up on the. I used. It's well worth the money. It's a great product. Beats the hell out of hairspray or tape or a glue stick or whatever other funky stuff people have used. I mean, don't get me wrong. When I first started 3D printing, it was glass beds and Aquanet. Like that was the thing to use. That's what all the kids were doing. Um, but yeah, it's those days are gone. It's all about the flexible textured mats. I actually have one from Tim that I need to get on the printer, but I got to do a slight modification. He was aware after the fact. Well, kind of after the fact. Problem with Creality, and it's a typical Chinese thing, is like mid run, they'll change something. And for sometimes no reason at all, other than maybe a vendor comes in with a carton of cigarettes. And I say this not as a joke, but this is something that actually happens over there. Um, a different person, different vendor, different guy from a factory will come in there with a carton of cigarettes, hand the manager or whatever, and say, "Hey, I can get you that part, or I can make this for 2 cents cheaper." And all of a sudden, the parts come in. Once they're out of the other ones, they just keep going down the line, but with the new parts. And so the bed screws on the back are in a slightly different location than the ones he originally designed his off of. And it's the reason why the one that I got was on sale, because he had to change them, which I don't mind. I just got to take some nips and cut a little slot because the holes are closer to the edge than how mine are. But yeah, I've actually got all his print surfaces, the textured PEI mats, on all my printers. God, I want to call it Tim Goo because that's what I'm used to calling it, but come on, stupid fingers. There we go. And he's running his 4th of July sale, so the Who Glue. You should name it the Who Glue, or the Who should be the Who Goo. That would make a lot more sense because that's kind of what it looks like. It looks like spunk. Let's see. These in there too. Just in case people are interested. Let's see how this thing is looking. Well, not the most terrible benchy I've ever seen. There's some issues up at the bow, but again, that was my fault because I forgot to plug the side fan back in. But it's looking pretty good. So it's got 9 minutes left. Oh, post surgery. Yeah, I can eat now. Eating's a lot better. Um, but I still have issues. Um, I get full real quick. I have to be careful with like carbonated drinks. Um, burping can't can't burp. I mean, I can, but it's it's not easy. In fact, oh God, Sarah and we were in the truck. We were doing something, I can't remember what it was, and I felt the burp coming, and do what a man does, and I let it go. But this was like obscene. It was long and felt like it was never gonna stop. It just blah, and then I'd take a breath because I'm like, oh shit, blah, and you'd keep going. Um, and so especially if I drink carbonated stuff, I can feel the build up in my chest. Breads are still rough. Um, Anything doughy, it takes work to swallow it down. They did say it could take up to 6 months to recover, but I'm also a dipshit and didn't follow the instructions, and I had a hard because I had such a hard time eating post surgery that I was afraid to eat. Um, and if I wasn't careful when I was eating, because the problem was is if stuff got stuck, I didn't know it right away. So I'd be eating, and all of a sudden I'd start feeling this pressure build up in my chest, and it's like, oh shit, oh shit. And then you're sitting there trying to work it down, and Your esophagus is saying no, it's got to come out, and it's literally a battle of trying to get stuff down, and a lot of times I just lost in it. It threw it up. Um, and then I just got kind of discouraged from eating. I lost some weight. I think I lost like 10 or 15 pounds because I wasn't eating much, but I'm probably gaining it back now because now I can eat again. But luckily, I'm not eating as much because I get full really quick. So it's kind of like having that lap band stomach whatever surgery. Um, it sucks. A tour. Yep, finally got it together, Tor. She's printing a benchy. I I'm I don't think this is a twice the value benchy though. I could be wrong. Well, I want to say nut until it's done. I think really the big thing that I'm printing this fast, so things like overhangs, that's not going to be this kit's fault. The big thing is I want to see if I've got like ringing, if I've got um, some under extrusion that might have been caused by like the extruder skipping. There's certain things that I'm not going to knock it on because it has nothing to do with the kit. So yeah, I can already tell some of the overhangs are a little poopy. But again, I'm printing speed. I'm not printing necessarily quality. But I don't really see any. It's hard because the LEDs on this printer are absolute dog shit. That's It's got an LED patch off to the. You're standing in front of it. It's the front right, it's like 6 LEDs, so you can see how it only really lights up the front quarter of the bed, and then it gets dark real quick. Tim needs to come out with some updated light kit for these things. Yeah, Wizzy, I once I noticed that the bow was starting to get fucked up, I plugged that side fan back in, um, because it was starting. I was getting some curling, from the lack of cooling. Like I said, we have those side fans unplugged in all of our K1s because this Max runs pretty much strictly ABS, and then the other K1s run PETG for the most part, and those cooling fans tend to wreck our prints. So we've unplugged those. I will say the stock cooling on this printer is it's okay for ABS. It does its job for us for our ABS and PETG prints, but clearly it's dog shit, which is why they added that side fan for PLA that needs heavy cooling. Lots of stringing. I tried that tour. If I recall correctly, I actually had problems where it was causing it was causing the bed to actually cool down, and then I was getting thermal runaway errors. Um, but I didn't really mess with it a whole lot. I'm sure if I turned it down enough and then adjusted the bed down low enough to where that fan was actually picking up the heat from the bed, yeah, um, because then it would be similar to, um, God, who made? I think Ellis designed that fan setup for the Voron that puts two fans up front and then pushes the hot air out from underneath on the 2.4 is the hot air out from underneath the beds and helps it circulate to get the enclosure heated quicker and then more stable. But again, haven't tried that far, and we didn't feel like screwing with it because we don't utilize them otherwise. Unplugged them, and these these aren't like my damn Voron where I have to heat soak the shit out of it before I can print. These we can pre by the time the bed preheats to one, I think we run at 105 or 110, and the nozzle, get the nozzle up to temp. Um, we can let it sit for max 5 minutes and then it's good to go and we don't have issues. Goes. Man, that bridging is beautiful. Holy shit! Wow. And really, the door arches aren't too bad either. But that bridging for the roof seemed just about flawless. One of them, I have two 15s under the Trident bend, and then Nevermore on the side. Yeah, so on my 2.4, I have two 15s under the bed as well. Um, one up front on each side, and then I have the, oh, what the hell is that thing called? The Nevermore in the center. So between the Nevermore in the center, and then the two 15s on either side of the bed next to that, it does a really good job of circulating that heat, and it does cut my heat soak time down on my 2.4. Um, but yeah, that thing is, even after putting those titanium rods on the gantry, which I was told was supposed to help stiffen that up and prevent the need for long heat soaks, it helped a little bit. Between adding those fans and the titanium rods, I'm able to cut that heat soak time down, but I still have to heat soak the shit out of it. It's obnoxious. She's almost done. She's on the smokestack. Shoelaces. Yeah, that side fin is, it's just really, it's like with anything else. It's really specific on what type of filament you're printing with. They all, everything has their uses and their purposes. Um, gimme, gimme, gimme. All right, so man, I so you could probably. That's not gonna with that camera. Let's try with this one. All right, so here's the benchy. Now you can that right there. That's my fault. That was I didn't have the side fan plugged in. Once I had the side fan plugged in, everything worked itself out. The problem was is that it was the bow was just curling. I will say one thing that I do not see. I don't see ringing. Very very minimal. Like you're ghosting, and it's minimal around the portholes up front. I really don't see any around like the deck edges. I don't see any on the cabin or like the rear window. Yeah, it's stringy as hell. There's, I mean, even the overhangs for the speed that it ran, the overhangs on the door, like the doors, um, those little blips. They're fine. The rear window, damn it, here, is actually just about flawless. Um, I mean, hell, even the bottom. This is one of the first times where I've printed a 3D Benchy where I can actually clearly read. I don't know if it's going to show or not. Come on. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to show. But it's, yeah, there we go. You can, you can actually read the lettering. It's not sunken in. And some of this stuff has nothing to do with that kit. It really, the big thing is going to be, again, the ringing or the ghosting. The under extruding, which I don't see any under extruding. I don't see any layers. I don't see any of the outside walls where the extruder might have skipped. I don't see any of that. Not that I had that issue before, but I don't see it now, which is it's a good thing because it means the extruder is doing its job and it's not having any problems. Um, so yeah, I guess really the big thing is I'm gonna have to put some real world time on it with stuff that I print, um, and I'll be able to kind of finally give my final thoughts on this kit, um, just to give an idea. I won't say what these are for because I don't think I'm allowed to, but these are parts that we print in ABS. This is one of two parts that we print. They print this way up, so we have to have some supports here, obviously, because this just prints, this starts on its own. But we have had some random issues with the layers here on the big overhang. But I mean, other than that, other than some stringing and stuff, which is easily cleaned up, these parts have turned out pretty well. There's some pretty complex curves and stuff on these. Um, and then these are the other parts. Oh Christ, I'm a pony. What did I just do? Oh, I gotta clean this hellhole up. This is another piece. This one doesn't require any supports, but this is all ABS as well. So we'll have to run some of these parts through, and see, with our already sliced files, because I can still reuse those files. Nothing's changed as far as that goes. The only thing that was changed is the configuration within the printer itself. So I don't need to reslice my files in order to use this kit, which is a bonus. Um, so so yeah, um, the jury is out on this. Um, yeah, was he? I don't. It's not so much that it's an improvement. It's that what I see on this piece here, I don't see problems. So the kit hasn't caused any problems. I won't know for sure until I start printing our stuff if there's any actual improvements. But the good news is at least after installing the kit, running input shaper, um, and tuning the rotational distance for the extruder, I don't see issues. So that's a good thing. Um, but I didn't really have issues to begin with. So the I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to hate this kit. I more so hate myself for spending the money on it. Even with the improved parts, I have a hard time still justifying the expense to myself. Um, it was a it was a silly buy, but we'll see. I don't know. So that's it. Got a benchy. Printed out pretty well. Things finally back together. I can finally start running some of our prints on it, and I'll probably just with that one, I'll probably just upload a video. I won't do anything live. A quick video on my final thoughts on if it's actually worth it. If I did see any noticeable improvements on our prints, and go from there. But thank you everyone for watching, sticking around, comments, um, hanging out this whole time. I mean, there's a couple of you who've been here the whole time, so I really appreciate that. I'm glad I had enough interest for people to hang on. But yeah, Wizzy, I would, the big thing is if you don't have any issues, again, I like to screw with things. That's why I have my thing as Backwoods Tinker. When I live in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, Michigan, and I like to screw with stuff. I don't like to leave stuff alone. Um, that's what got me into Clipper was I was constantly messing with my printers, and I didn't like how difficult it was to make changes to Marlin and have to constantly like, oh shit, I forgot to reverse the direction of the Z steppers. So now I got to go back, find it, through all the lines of code, recompile, reflash, all that. Clipper lets you change stuff on the fly, and that's why I got into Clipper, and it's why I have a Voron, even though that thing pisses me off to no end. It's a love-hate relationship because I wanted to build my own printer. I just thought it was the coolest thing to be able to print my parts and build it from the ground up and do the wiring and all that stuff. Um, so if you don't have any problems with your K1 Max, it's probably not worth it. Um, I would say your money is better well spent either going with a Triangle Lab or a Micro Swiss hot end. That's really all these printers need. Um, there's really nothing wrong with the stock extruder. Again, I just saw Bondtech. I'm like, ooh, quality. Let's let's get rid of that Creality just in case it does come up with more problems. But it didn't. It didn't. Um, so yeah, if you haven't ordered it, I would wait. I'd hold off. There's if you search for this kit, there's a reason why someone who only has like 47 subscribers, this guy right here, has videos on it, and no one else really has. I don't think any of the big shooters have picked up on this kit. I don't think they've tested it, and I think there's a reason for that because they're smart and they know that hey, that's not worth the almost $300 by the time you factor in shipping. Um, I mean, I'm surprised some of the guys out there haven't because oh boy, do they love a paycheck. Um, but and they're going to tell you whatever they need to get that paycheck. But even those guys haven't got it, which typically means that the company who has the product is not willing to pay their astronomical fee for them to be a talking head for them. So, yeah, if you haven't bought it, Wizzy, don't. I would still hold off. Your money is better well spent. Um, again, my buddy has TH3D. His company's TH3D. His website's TH3D Studio.com. Um, he's got the Micro Swiss hot ends. He's got the Triangle Lab hot ends. He's got the better print mats. In fact, I can show you. I just got to get it on there, but the Easy Flex Pro. It's a textured PEI sheet. It's dual-sided, whereas the stock one from Creality is just one-sided. So if you make a whoopsie and drag the nozzle and ruin the top, just flip it over and boom, you got a new print surface. Yeah, your money is better well spent in little stuff like that, little quality of life improvements, and the hot end. Um, I just can't. If I were to do it again, I probably wouldn't buy this kit because I don't think it's worth it. But we'll see once we start printing our car parts and go from there. But oh, oh no, oh that's right. You said you didn't get the belt parts. Ah, damn. All right. Well, um, I mean, you already have it. You already spent the money, so you might as well put it on. Shit. All right, buddy. Well, thanks everyone. Thanks Tor for dropping in, and Krista, and Wizzy, and who else was there? There was Mark popped in. I know he stepped out for a bit to talk to his mom at one point, and of course the wife for coming in and supporting me. You guys all have a good night. Jesus, it's almost 9 o'clock. Enjoy the rest of your Saturdays, and yeah, thanks everybody for hanging out, and anybody who checks this out after the fact and skims through to hear the important bits. I don't expect people to come in after the fact and watch almost 3 hours of this. But thanks, guys. Have a good night. I'm done with my Midwest goodbye. I promise. See you later, everybody.